been a big fan of Kate Tempest since 2014 with the album Everybody Down, and then I caught her live at a show, and she just oozes with ridiculous amounts of passion that I don't think many live artists I've seen compare to. Sure, most musicians are very, very passionate about what they do, but like at a live show, just breaking out into random like spoken word pieces just improvised off the top of her head like the way she did was unbelievable, man. And nothing compares to the way she did it. It was really, really fascinating. Since then I've held her up as one of the most underrated rappers around, although you can't really just call her a rapper when she's pretty much like a poet and a spoken word master. As UK hip hop goes, I would definitely put Everybody Down in like my top 3 albums I've heard of all time, to be honest. I should do an Undiscovered Gems video on this one. Like it really needs more attention. She was rapping over some really interesting production back in 2014, but on this new album, The Book of Traps and Lessons, the beats have been pretty much taken away for the most part. I mean, there are a few tracks that have some wonderful piano on them, and there are some beats that do come in through on some of the tracks as well, but mostly this is a stripped down album where the wise Kate Tempest just speaks her shit at you the whole time. At points it's great and comfortable, at points it's very revealing, and there's a lot to unpack with these lyrics. Holy shit. You can pretty much tell from this album cover that what is the main focus of this album, and even her previous work too, is the UK, is Britain, is the state of the country as it seems to be a very common thing at the moment, actually, especially from the UK hip-hop scene. We've had that Dave album where he was speaking on some problems in the UK. The most recent example and the most apt example that you can be used is that Slow Tie album, which I can now pronounce correctly because I know how to say his name and I will not be saying Slow Tie. Pretty much touched on the issues in the UK with it being called Nothing Great About Britain. I did have issues with that one though. I didn't really feel like every track was as vivid as some of the highlights on the album, but Kate Tempest takes it a completely different route. Tempest just has a completely unmatched vision of the way the world is. And I've got to admit, at points, I'm not in full agreement with the things that she says or her cynical mindset on some things that can get a little tiring here and there, I've got to be honest here. But it's at least interesting to listen to. Like, I don't think you're going to get lyrics like this from anywhere. I think it's a calm, soothing delivery that really packs the punch on this album. Like, listening to her just say these things in just such a soft voice is really chilling and eerie. I almost want to call Brown Eyed Man a beautiful song for just the way it sounds, but like it's just harrowing, honestly, the way she's telling this story or depicting the reality of the way she's talking about how this person's just been targeted for the color of their skin, and how they are frightened and all they want to do is just run away. But it's just so hard to listen to, actually, you know, like the way she paints this picture. You actually do sit there and just picture it all. Like I really love the way she can just tell a story or write. As I already mentioned, she is a poet as well as a musician, so you are getting unbelievably like vivid detail in these lyrics, and it just hits really hard. A song like I Trap You, just the idea that she's going for here about how, you know, love can just be like a trap sometimes. Like, you're confined into like a box, you know, you can't really be your own person, you can't really just be an individual. Sometimes you're just kind of going with the motions, not really in love, or you think you're in love but you're just kind of settled and you're just accepting what your life has become. Like, it's so depressing, but man, there are just so many people that you come across that are in this same situation. Divorce is such a common thing really just proves the point from the get-go. You don't really need Kate Tempest telling you this, but just the way she says it. Keep Moving, Don't Move is a track about how basically we're just all kind of stuck in this routine of like work, and there's not really much to our lives. It's a little pretentious, I must admit, but again, she does paint some really interesting ideas with her lyrics. It's very ominous, and it just feels like time is ticking away with this beat, and everything's just going to come to an end eventually, which I guess is what she's going for with this track as well, with the lyrics too. But the way that the track kind of just comes to a dead stop at the chorus, well, the chorus where she keeps repeating like 7.4 billion people, 7.5 billion people, it's really quite creepy. She's playing to this idea that the world is just continuously expanding, and people are just entering this world, and the cycle is just repeating and repeating and repeating. That little bit as well where she's just like ferociously stamping in her words with the eat the table, eat the chair, eat that takeaway, eat everything in your path and consume everything, and realize that there is nothing ever more than this, which she breaks out that line. Just throws in those friggin' lines every now and then that just make you question the existence of everything. Yeah, I hate her for it. I hate her. But about this idea of like consumerism just consuming us later on the album too, with the track All Humans Too Late, and I've got to be honest, I'm not really a fan of this. Just feels to me like she's sort of above everyone else in a little bit of a way. Not to say that I think she feels that way, but just the whole little section about how, like, you know, WhatsApp group chats and beers in the garden, and the comment about porn. I just think that all of this little bit is so not really saying anything noteworthy either. It's just kind of commenting on how people should be doing better and paying more attention to perhaps the atrocities that go on in the country. But at the end of the day, you can't really tell people what to do, and just the way she's framing it, I guess, is a bit ugh. And how she's saying it too, just not really not much of an issue across the entire album. I do feel like this track just rubs me the wrong way a little bit too much. Whether it's warranted or not, I don't know, but I just don't really enjoy this. That's a slight issue that I have with quite a bit of this album though, where I just feel like I'm being talked at. And yes, she has such a great way of talking and rhyming her words in really interesting ways and telling stories and painting a picture. But just, I do kind of miss the days where she was doing this over excellent beats. Perhaps it is spoken word in general for me. I don't know if that's the case. There will be examples I just can't think of off the top of my head that I love it and it works completely well. But just sometimes a replay value for this kind of music just is just not quite there. The last 4 tracks is where some of the beats start coming through, and they are just wonderful to listen to. Like, Firesmoke just has this gorgeous melody. It has this brooding, buzzing noise in that just irks in the background. And the way she says that line as well towards the end, where she says, you better start sowing or there won't be a harvest. It just is so chilling. Probably my favourite track on the whole thing, with People's Faces, that comes right at the end. It's just such a lovely entire album that's just filled with depressing stories and ideas about the way our country currently is. This is the one track where she just finally finds some hope somewhere, some solace from something is somehow People's Faces. And that just puts a huge smile on my face, man. The line that she comes out with, where she says there's so much peace to be found in people's faces, that is just kind of right too. I mean, do you ever just people watch in a train station, like she says on this track, just watching people go by? It's weirdly satisfying. Not in a creepy way or anything. I just mean just like watching people walk by, just seeing what they're doing, just watching them go about their daily lives. It sounds pretentious as fuck, but it genuinely is quite a nice activity. She's talking about how she feels like things are changing, just even though things may not be the best they can be right now, but there's something changing. She can feel it, and she knows that people know this as well, and like things just can be better. We can be doing better, because when you're laying in your bed at night, you think about these things too. And I like the way she kind of humanizes this and thinks, yeah, I'm saying all these things, but you think these things. It just gives you that nice relatability feeling, in the sense that you can relate to what she's saying, but it's also for her as well, that idea that she feels that she's not alone, which is something that gives her hope. It's an unbelievably powerful song, I think, and just a perfect way to end off the album. But it just is a shame that I can't end this review and say I love this. This is an amazing album, because I have been praising it crazily throughout this entire review. But I just, each time I was listening to it, I just had some moments where I just wasn't focusing, or it just wasn't gripping me in the same way that it was on other songs. An amazing way of presenting all of her ideas on this album, and she does everything well, but I just really want some of these tracks to just have more on the music side to them. I just think that would have probably swung this to like an 8 out of 10 for me, but it just isn't quite yet. 7.5 out of 10, which is very, very good, I think, overall. Definitely going to keep going back to this as well, to see if things change, to see if my mindset changes on the album, if I like it more. I do hope I do, but for now I think this is probably going to be an honourable mention type album for the end of this. Yeah, just give it a shot. Try her older work as well. I think she is definitely an artist that deserves more people's attention, and yeah, check this one out. Thank you for watching my review. Have a good day. Goodbye.